The opinions expressed on the radio program by the hosts, co-hosts, guests, and call-in listeners or chatters are solely the opinions and responsibility of the original source who expressed them. They do not necessarily represent the opinions of Genesis Radio, www.genesisradio.com, Genesis Radio's owners, management, or affiliates.
It's another Thoughtful Thursday, and we are on air with Reason for Reason, and I'm your host, Ron Yates. So joining me today in studio are three lovely ladies, and one that will be joining us via link. So ladies, let's start with a little introduction. Let's start with my far right.
Okay, my name is Sonia Williamson. I am the recording secretary of the Jack and Jill Foundation, the Greater Pocono chapter.
Welcome to the show.
My name is Katira Grundy, and I am the chapter president of Greater Pocono chapter.
Welcome, Katira. And to my left,
I'm Pernella Harris. I am the tech chair for Greater Pocono chapter.
welcome, ladies. So all of you are members of Jack and Jill. Yeah, I was reading a little bit of the information Pernella provided, and I was looking at the chapter members.
Got
And
one
I found
more on.
something interesting. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to introduce Karina. So Karina, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, hi, I'm a new mom. I've only been in the chapter for about a year. So I'm excited to be here today.
Well, thanks for coming on and congratulations on the new child.
Thank you.
So in reading your chartering information, it looks like there are no men who are part of the chapter. Is that correct?
Kind of, sort of. We have a father's auxiliary, so our fathers are included in our activities. They participate, and we have different functions and events that they help out with the chapter as well. So it's a mother's organization, but the father's auxiliary is that.
But it does say Jack and Jill. So where does Jack fit in?
So Jack is for our Jacks. Those are the young boys, and then the Jills are the young boys. The children are the Jacks.
But it is a male-female organization, correct?
It is.
Okay.
So the members of the organization are comprised of the mothers.
Mhm.
And then so anything else that is all the other parts of that are the Jacks and Jills, which are the children of the mothers, and then the fathers auxiliary, of course, are the husbands or the fathers of the children. But it starts with the mothers, so it's a mother member organization.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about your experience with Jack. And let's start with you. Sonia. What's your experiences with Jack and Jill?
Well, this is my second year being Jack and Jill. I really like it so far. We've created wonderful programs for our children to participate in, and my son has made newfound friends, and he's just been learning a lot from the programs that have been provided.
And let me ask you something. Where are you from originally?
Originally, I am from Queens, New York.
Okay. Did you know about Jack and Jill growing up?
No, I did not.
Okay. So, Katira.
So my experience with Jack and Jill, I was one of the founding mothers. So we chartered in 2018 here in the Greater Pocono area. And I've been a member since then. I have a 10th grader and a 5th grader. And the experience has been great. It's nice to be able to present our kids with, things that we didn't experience, and also in some of the schools that we're in, predominantly white, for them to be able to be a part of an organization such as this and have those experiences that they wouldn't ordinarily have. You know, they get to see people who look like them, and mothers and fathers, and across the region and nationally, because we're a nationally recognized organization. It's a beautiful thing. So
Did you know about Jack and Jill growing up?
I did not.
Okay. Karina,
Yes.
you with us? So where are you originally from?
So I'm originally from Patterson, New Jersey.
Okay. Well, let's see a little about your experiences with Jack and Jill.
So I've had a great experience so far. I have a 8-year-old, 7-year-old who's in the second grade, and then I have a eighth grader who's 14. And so far, it's been a great experience. We moved from a diverse area as Patterson, which is a city, to where I live now in East Stroudsburg. So diversity is much, much less here. So I do like it because they get to see kids and be around people that like themselves. They also get inspired by our mothers or dads because they're all in a good place in life. So I do like that. I also like the programs. It gives them a different look on things that maybe I can't provide to them, but the other moms and the programs do. So far, I love it.
Very good. Now, did you know about it growing up?
Now,
Okay. So now, Panella, let's hear your experiences.
So Jack and Jill, my experience for Jack and Jill is twofold, right? So I experience it through the eyes of my children, right? Seeing them rub shoulders with some of the most amazing mothers and dads. They're business owners. They're mothers who are doctors and just Black excellence on the highest level. And my kids get to see that, right? And they get to be challenged. So they get to see people that look like them and doing great things. And for me as a mom, and like our president, Katira, I'm one of the chartering moms that brought it to the Poconos. It is a community. Like
Mhm.
I love the community of the support, just the if I have an issue, if I need a resource, just we band together our resources. We do community service. We help each other. We just hang out. Sometimes you just need a girls' night out, a break. So the community aspect of it is what I love the most. And I have moms that look like me and have gone through similar things. So I like that part of it.
Did you know about it growing up?
No.
Okay.
Hey, Ron, I got a confession, man.
Yeah.
In my school I went to,
Right.
Jack and Jill used to meet. They used to meet at that school.
Mm.
You know,
In Manhattan?
no, at Woodmere Academy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I kind of knew about it, but ain't nobody that looked like us was there.
Right. You know, that seems to be a consistent thread, right? That growing up in the inner city, you don't hear much about Jack and Jill.
Mhm.
And I know in talking to people, there is a perception that maybe Jack and Jill is somewhat of an elitist organization that caters to a particular demographic as it relates to the Black community. And W.E. Du Bois started an organization called the Boule. You familiar with that?
Mhm.
Everybody familiar with the Boule?
I'm not.
Okay, so the Boule was the talented 10,
Mhm.
the I guess elite amongst Black America. He wanted to form an organization with them so that I guess he wanted to highlight education opportunities that would be made available to those of us that were well educated. But the talented 10 didn't extend to, I guess, the inner cities, to
Mhm.
the poorest Black people. They kind of distanced themselves for whatever reason. And I would imagine he had some valid reasons. But what do you think about people's impressions of Jack and Jill? And let's start with Sonia again.
Um,
Well, do you find that first? First of all, do you find that to be an issue?
so far, no. Um, Originally, when I first heard about Jack and Jill, I did do my research and I did pretty much find the same thing, that there were a lot of stories of the organization being an elitist organization. But I find that with this chapter here in the Poconos, um, that's not the case. And I believe that Jack and Jill as a whole have been trying to stray away from that narrative,
Mhm.
from it being such an elitist organization. We've been opening lots of new chapters um, throughout the years. So I think we're trying to stray away from that.
Mhm.
I think that um, overall, I feel like prior to maybe 10, 15 years ago, it probably could have been viewed that way. I think that now, like Arsenio said, that there's more chapters opening. And I think that even if it were viewed that way, what we do, a lot of people may not know, like there probably were things that were happening in my community growing up in North and Elizabeth that Jack and Jill may very well have been a part of.
Mhm.
So even if we're seen as that, we pride ourselves, the organization prides itself in not only fostering those leadership experiences for our own children, but for the community as well. So a lot of what we do, even if you're not able to be a part of it in terms of how we pull our resources together, those resources are put back into our African American community. So we support people that look like us, organizations that are going to benefit our children, our culture, our moms, our dads, from health related seminars and popping up in communities, checking blood pressure and, March of Dimes and, mothers who, experience it, pregnancy or high risk and things like that are affecting the African American community. Those are the things that we participate in. So I could see how um, it may have looked that way. And again, remember, it was Jack and Jill was created because our children who we were moving into some of these elite, places, we didn't see, our kids didn't get to experience or be around people who look like us. So we created it, from those, and typically, wasn't in inner city areas.
Mhm.
We're in the inner city, and it really wouldn't be a need for Jack and Jill because we could see us everywhere in those types of communities. So I get it, but that's not the intention, and hopefully that's not what people think. Like we're an elitist group. We pull our resources together and we support all children, not just our own.
Karina,
Yes.
what do you think?
So I don't think it's an elitist group. I don't see it. I am a new mom, but I haven't seen it. It is a different perspective um, because, like, I'm from Patterson, so I didn't see doctors being African American or Hispanic. They were mostly white. So when I went to the group, I do see like excellence. I do see like great moms, great dads. So I can see why people would see it as that type of group, but it's definitely not. Um, because as CP Katira said, we do give back. We help everyone that we can. So I don't see it that way, but I can definitely understand why people would think that.
Mm-hmm. Vanilla?
So my perspective on that is, so I come from the inner city, so
Well, we all have that thread.
so I grew into opportunities.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't born into wealth, is what I'm saying. But in order to give more, you have to have more, right? Because I have come from the hood and I know what it is not to have. You're in survival mode. You really can't. You're just trying to, survive and meet your family. But if you have come to a place of uh, status, if you have gotten opportunities, the best thing you can do is reach back and help the next person.
Correct.
And so, there's a place for, and I think there's different groups that do different things. There's a place for black excellence in, being a group of professionals, because it is, and I understand the perspective, right? So you have a bunch of professionals, and now they're giving back. They're helping their communities. They give other kids hope that, hey, you too can have these different opportunities. And now that we have gotten a little bit of opportunity, a little bit of money, we can now reinvest in our community. We can now start our own things.
Mhm.
So I mean, that's my perspective. So, why it may have started off, with
Mhm.
that perspective, I think all of it. Anybody who is trying to elevate our community, it doesn't have to be a division. Anyone who is trying to, there's a place for everyone.
Mhm.
Well,
So,
Ron,
ladies,
you know what I want to say?
Mhm.
Always say we better together, right?
Absolutely.
We all better together, right?
Mhm.
So I don't think that, from my perspective and my knowledge and what I know from growing up and seeing it, it's not an elitist group, you know. And from what I recognize, I see what they do. I see them on Facebook. I see what they do. I see them in the community, and I can say they don't operate that way. Things in the game has changed a lot, you know, and anybody who is willing to look back and hand out and reach down to pull up in our community, I'm all for it.
No, I get it.
That is definitely not a sign of an elitist.
Mhm. I get it. But I just want to play devil's
Mhm.
advocate for a second.
Mhm.
So, why Jack and Jill? Why not the Black Panther Party? Because they've been reconstituted. We have a new Black Panther Party now. Um, Certainly not as militant as the original Panther Party, but doing things in the community. There are a number of groups that have sprung up. There's a new one in Michigan. I think they're centered in the Detroit area. We have young men and women who are going out into the community, who are one policing the community, make sure the community remains safe, and also role models for the next generation. So I'll ask each of you, why not say the Panther Party as opposed to Jack and Jill? So we'll start with you, Simon.
Well, I would say for me, Jack and Jill, being a part of that organization, it's the mission of the organization is to foster future leaders, right?
Mhm.
So the emphasis is on the children. Um, so for me, that was my main objective is having my child, being in a predominantly white school, be around other children that are like him, that look like him, that may be sharing the same experiences um, as he is. So for me, it was always about my son,
Well, you know,
my
the
children.
Black Panther Party also had an emphasis on children. The school lunch program started with the emphasis of the Black Panther Party. So did school breakfast. That was all a program that was initially instituted by the Black Panther Party. Later on, it was adopted into the school system, but it was the Black Panthers that started it.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I thank you for your answer. Right? It was honest. Good answer. Katira.
I kind of agree with Mom saying as well. I think that I'm not 100% sure of everything that the Black Panther Party is doing in our communities now, and it doesn't mean it's not happening, but I'm just not privy to that information. I think the benefit of the reason why one of the reasons why I joined Jack and Jill was because I saw visibly what they were doing. So whether it was on social media or from knowing someone or being invited into the group, I saw what they were doing. I fell in love with how children, the teens in this organization are like leading meetings and starting their own businesses and their own brands and the amazing things that our children are able to do. And so I wanted my children to have that opportunity, those opportunities that I didn't have. Doesn't mean that I would say no to Black Panther or some of those other organizations. But again, I just wasn't exposed to what I'm just not exposed to what they're doing in my community, like right now,
Okay. Karina.
So my answer is similar. I met Pranella. She was my daughter's basketball coach. And there was another child there who was also part of the Jack and Jill program. And I saw how she nurtured her like if it was her own child. And then I saw how she was with the other kids. That's how I found out about Jack and Jill. So I was exposed to the Jack and Jill and what they were doing, not only in that sports when I just moved to the area, but also outside of that. So that's the reason why I joined Jack and Jill. I don't know enough about the other organizations. So that's why I didn't join them. But I saw the Jack and Jill, like what they were doing. So that's why I decided to join the organization.
Okay, good enough. Vanilla.
I'm glad you asked that question. I was like, oh, me. I had to wait all the time. I was like, oh, man. So here's the thing. My thing is on unity, right? So when you pose the question, why not this specific? That means you have to choose one or the other. And that's divisive.
Not necessarily. You could be members of many organizations.
Exactly. So it's not why not. Many of our participants, many of our families may be a part of the Black Panther movement. So it's not either or. But when you posed it that way, that was, you boxed the question in a little bit. But I don't think there needs to be a choice. It's whatever speaks to you, right? There's diversity in diversity. And each of us, even though we're Black, right? We're all Black. We have different experiences. We come from different walks of life. So something's going to speak to us differently, than another group. It doesn't make us, wrong or against it. It's, we live in an and society. So it could be and.
That's true.
So
That's true.
my answer.
Very true. Okay, so ladies, now there is a program that you are planning on having this May 10th, if I'm not mistaken. So tell us a little bit about that. And we'll start with Fenella this time.
Please. So that piggybacking on that is unifying the community, right? We have organizations from all walks of life, not just Jack and Jill, but all organizations that are promoting the unification of our community. We are going to have vendors there, so you can shop local Black businesses and stimulate their economy, keep our dollars rolling around. We're going to have games. We're going to have games because one of the things that my co-chair Karina and I are really trying to do is promote Black family values. So it's going to be, think of reunion, like a family reunion, where you have families versus families, you have kids versus parents, you have sack races, you got the petting zoo. It's going to be a good time. We got line dancing. We're going to do some line dancing. Y'all been practicing, right? So it's going to be a good time.
So now, are you the chairperson for this?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So there's one bit of information you left out.
Okay.
Where is it?
Thank you.
You're
That would
welcome.
be important, right?
It
We want
would
people
be.
to come.
Yes.
So it is going to be at Middle Smithfield Culture and Community Center, 5200 Milford Road in East Stroudsburg, PA.
Okay. And the time?
12 to 4.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you.
I will see you there.
Yeah.
I like to come out and support the community whenever I can. Now, I did a little bit of research on you from the information you sent me. Right.
That's dangerous.
And it was something that kind of stuck out to me. Now, you're a licensed clinical social worker.
Yes.
And you said you help women deal with toxic relationships or get out of a toxic relationship. Okay, so my question is, if a man is in a toxic relationship, can he come to you as well?
No.
Why?
That's just not my assignment. My testimony, the reason I chose to work with women is because I've been in that. And so.
But men are in toxic relationships too.
I know that. And they should go to somebody who specializes with working with men. Because there is a difference. Come on, Ron, because I'm ready to go. Because I'm the expert here. You in my territory now.
Well, but wait a minute now. Here's the thing. You are a licensed clinical social worker, right? So that means in your course of study, you studied both the anatomy, I guess, of the brain of both male and female. They work a little different, but do you think that men don't respond as well to women?
See, there you go with that. Now you in my zone. You in my zone of genius. So I've never said that.
Mm-hmm.
And men operate very differently. And I'm not saying either or, I'm saying where my target audience is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gifted at working with women.
Mm-hmm.
I do a lot on feminine energy. I do a lot on um, women empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
So that's who God has created me to work with. Not saying that men don't need help. You are absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are a lot of men who go through toxic situations. There are women narcissists, but you would want to operate like if I dilute who I serve, and I say I can do everybody, I can serve everybody, then I'm not really serving anybody because I need to hone in on who I'm best gifted to serve.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you read on that bio that I also train social workers on finding their path and helping them with their practice management, and I mentor and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm saying, Ron. Don't start with me.
We're gonna have to come
Don't
back.
start with me.
We're gonna have to come back to that because you said you work with the female energy,
Mhm.
no male energy. You said
always-
female.
You like to do it like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Feminine
So
energy, yes.
we'll have to come back to that.
Okay.
Okay. So what role are you playing in this upcoming event?
Well, I am basically going to be just a helper.
Okay.
Just a
So,
helper.
I'm helping to do the setup, helping people park, things of that nature. So wherever I'm needed, I'll be jumping in.
So what do you do when you're at work? What is your field of expertise?
Accounting.
Accounting.
Yes.
Very good. We could always use some accountants, especially now with Trump in office. And Katira?
I am going to be, I've done a lot of stuff in the background, and I'll just be supporting wherever I can.
Okay. And what do you do?
I own child development centers.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's very good. We need to develop children,
Yes, we do.
the right kind of children.
Absolutely.
Now let's get back over here. She has children development centers to develop the minds of children,
Mm-hmm.
boys and girls. Just thought I'd mention that. I'm also going to mention I'm not a religious person. I believe in African spirituality and student of African history. And I know in African culture, male and female came together. There is no separation in time like you find in Christianity. And the male and female energy complement one another. There is no distinction. In Africa, in our highest state of consciousness, we didn't have things like chauvinism. There were women, black women, that were queens that did not have a king on the throne. I can name several. And no one bothered, no one was upset about the fact that a woman is in control. It is only in America that we've developed these awful habits. Yeah. Yeah. And let me just say this to you. I think that men sometimes respond better to women sometimes because women, that feminine energy knows how to counteract that male aggression.
Mm-hmm.
There's a biblical story about Samson and Delilah. And Delilah was this little diminutive chick, but she knew the power of the feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And she was able to break him down. He told his secrets, right? So that's how the power of the feminine energy works. So maybe you should consider working with some men.
I try to use my powers for good. Okay. but I and I've been asked to work with men, and I have worked with men. But where I see the biggest impact, right, because of the feminine energy, and because that the fact that we live in a patriarchy, like what you just mentioned, and because of the fact that women are walking around these magical beings and they have no idea how magical they are, and they are looking for validation outside themselves. They're looking for external uh, proof that they are
Mhm.
divine.
Mhm.
So what I do is I help women find their divinity from
But we're
within.
all looking for that.
And
Men as well.
I can only help but so many people.
Mhm.
So I can't treat everybody. So
Mhm.
I gotta figure out, okay, this is my piece of the pie,
Mhm.
right? And this is who I am able to serve. And as those people help other people, and you know,
We're going to argue this some more.
you're trying to change my life.
But we have a new guest. Hello, new guest.
Hi, how are you?
Well, thank you. And your name is?
Cornelia.
Cornelia.
Yes.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
Are you part of Jack and Jill as well?
I am.
Okay. And what role do you play at Jack and
I'm
Jill?
the program director.
You're the program director. So let me ask you something. Did you hear what she just said?
I mean, I think
Did you hear any of what she just
I
said?
did hear some of
Do
what
you
she
agree
said.
with it?
To a certain extent. We have
Thank
to
you.
work
I
with
like
our
that. I like that
talents,
answer.
right? Within
I
our
like that
talents
answer.
and our calling. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. She don't get fan in. All right. So, from what I've been reading here about the organization itself, Jack and Jill, started in 1938, and it talks about cultural awareness, right? So, what sort of things do you do to raise cultural awareness? And let's start with Sonia, and we'll work our way around.
I just really stepping out into the community, um, and just being visible, being present, um, and just, I guess, just doing all the, I guess, community service, and just being visible out there, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Cultural awareness. We have a lot of different things. I think honestly,
Such as?
Cultural awareness. We do each month we have a different thrust. So some of the activities. I mean, our program director will be able to probably tell you more specifically which activities our kids, our individual children, are doing separate things each month. But I can see, like, one of the ones that come to mind is for Black History Month. Some of the kids visited the African American Museum in Philadelphia. We've gone as an entire chapter to the African American Museum in Washington, D.C. Um, um, what else? We've been to different dance classes, African dance, I remember my daughter doing. And also, I mean, we're very rooted in HBCU and educational components of that. So anything that, most of the activities that we do are centered around our culture, whether that's, schooling, dancing, singing, learning activities, health, everything is centered around, our culture and African American culture.
Okay. Karina?
Yes. So for cultural, I have to agree with the rest of the ladies. For Martin Luther King this year, we went to Mount Bethel Church. And
Bethel?
we had like a day of service. We gave back. I believe it was to the veterans and things like that. So that's my take back. It's only my first year, but that's what we did this year.
Okay. So we're going to skip
Yes.
you for the time being, and we're going to throw it over to the program director, since she mentioned that you would have a better grasp.
Sure. So, I mean, as far as cultural awareness, I think it's twofold, right? So there's a piece of what we do that is very much about what we do as an organization and for our children. That's why we do what we do, is really about the children. And so a lot of the programs are focused on how are we educating ourselves about our history and educating our children about our history, right? What do they know about the civil rights movement? Which is why we have Carol Robinson Day. We talk about the bombing, the church bombing. We honor her every year. Karina mentioned MLK Day of Service. And so we talk about MLK, we give back, but we also wanted to tie it to a community organization. So as we're educating our students or our children, I work with students a lot. So as we're educating our children around cultural awareness, how to be sensitive, how to be inclusive, what is it about your history that is so great and excellent? We also recognize that there's a community component, and I think that's the second half of it, right? We can't do this work in a silo or by ourselves. We understand that what we're teaching our children is to then take what you learn and what you know and then share it outward, share it with other people. And so we educate ourselves so that we can educate others. As people see us in the community, they ask, well, what is Jack and Jill? What do you do? Why is it important? Why do you have an organization with Black women for Black children? There's an importance to what we do. And I think that helps us to then have more leverage and then make an impact, not locally, but then regionally, and then obviously as an organization nationally, which is what we've done.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
I guess that leaves Manila.
So, cultural impact, that is interlaced in everything we do. So like many of the moms already indicated, our programming. So we do age appropriate programming for each of the age groups that we serve. And we always lay something and tie it back to the Black community. The most important thing that my kids have gotten out of this, and I have a son who's 18, I have a daughter who's 13, who've grown through this, is that they have a sense of pride and heritage that comes with just the programming that we're doing. And we do financial literacy, we do leadership development, we do a lot of philanthropic initiatives. So it's all laced in empowering our youth.
So I have a question for each of you, because you talk so much about the children. So how do you contact these children? I mean, do you have a point where or a place where you meet, say weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or whatever, and you spend time with these children individually or as a group? So we'll start with the program director.
So our CP, our president, shared with you that monthly we have Thrust. And as a national organization, they've identified what those thrusts are. And so each mom, depending on their grade group, is in charge of hosting a program or an event for the children in their grade group. And so we have pre-K to K is one group, then first grade to third grade is another group, the next grade is fourth to fifth, and then 6th through 8, and then our teens, which is 9th through 12th grade.
Sorry to interrupt you, but
Sure.
Where do you meet?
So we, as a organization, like the moms, we have separate mother meetings, and then the children meet based on the activity. So they meet monthly based on the activity, unless moms decide to do something outside of the activity that's planned for the month. So it varies.
So do you meet at a school, at someone's home?
The mothers or the children?
Both, actually.
So that's an interesting question. We've kind of bounced around a little bit because our area in general is hard to find space, and dare I say free space for us. We're a nonprofit organization, so we try to keep the cost low. So we've met at the library for our mothers' meetings. Our chair, Brunella, has let us use her office as a meeting space in the past. We've met in one of our other mothers' working space, because we do try to meet monthly. Our executive board meetings are online. And then as far as the children, they've had a variety of activities. Some moms have hosted events in their homes, depending on the actual thrust and the activity. We've gone to universities, depending on the activity. We've gone to Imagination Station, Impact Fun Zone, museums, as CP mentioned earlier. So a lot of the location where the children are is really very much dependent on the activity that's planned for the month.
Okay. I'm just kind of curious as to where you meet, and Because that sounds like it. I always wanted to work with children. I mean, I do. Um, I work at a school, so I do have interaction with children, but
Or you-
not the sort of
Are you
interaction.
telling us that you'd like to come in as a guest speaker and pour into our
Well,
kids, or
That's what
do
he said.
something? We can
Possibly.
create things.
Right.
possibly, or
That's what it sounds like to me, Ron.
That's what he said.
well, you met Professor Ambers, right?
Yes, yes.
I
yes.
brought him here. I have a friend that has an African history museum in California. So I've
We
flown
like
him
trips.
out here on a number of occasions. And sitting with him for an hour, you can learn more about Black history than you will through 12 years of going to school.
Mhm.
This man is a walking encyclopedia of African history. In fact, in his museum in California, he can document 6,000 years of Africans in one room, 3,000 years of African presence in this hemisphere in another. And then in another room, he has the civil rights movement from its inception to where we currently stand.
Wow.
So he has always been a very vital resource for me. He's a very good friend, very dear friend, and he's always willing because he was a teacher. He taught in the Chula Vista School District, taught little kids, but he always had this burning desire to know. So he studied, speaks many different languages, traveled around the world. He used to lead tours to Africa, to Egypt, so that people can see firsthand what the pharaohs, well, I shouldn't say pharaoh, that's a made-up term, what the kings and queens actually look like, where they actually came from. So that would be something that might be interesting.
Absolutely.
What do you think, Madam President?
I think it sounds like a great idea.
Okay, all right, maybe that's something we can work on. He generally is very, very busy as it gets close to African History Month, February. But after that, things kind of slow down, and he'll come out and do a presentation, and I'm telling you, your mind will be blown.
We love that. Our kids will love that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also looking at this setup too for our teens. I think our teens could come and learn a lot from just being on the radio, and they have an upcoming activity where they're going to be learning social media do's and don'ts. So just learning what to post on social media, what you should be saying, what you shouldn't be, our schools looking at it, so on and so forth. And I think that even just at this level, like what it takes, like what it looks like behind the scenes, getting behind the mic, how you guys everything you did with us, sound checks and different things like that, I think would be a good activity for our teams to do as well.
Yeah, good to expose them to it, especially at an early age. Now, something else I wanted to bring up. Now, you, Sonia, mentioned that your children are going to a white school.
Yeah,
right?
it's predominantly mostly. Yeah.
I think we all have experience with that, right? They say it's for better education, but you kind of lose something in the socialization. Do you find that as well?
I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like for the little ones, it's harder for them to interact with like a sense of just the identity of just like how they fit in, and just how they navigate certain spaces. It's been a bit of a challenge, I think, for my younger son versus my older son, who was raised in New York and in the city amongst everyone that most of his peers look like him. I feel like my younger son struggles a lot in school and just outside of school, just finding a sense of individuality.
And how old is your younger son?
My younger son is 9.
Okay. Terry?
I agree. I think so. Same here. I think that it's hard to, as much as we're introducing them to different children that look like them across the region, nationally. We have conferences and children's clusters and things like that. It's still not happening on an everyday basis. And so when they're going to school, it's hard for them to find their group You know, they always feel like they're the ones that's trying to fit in.
Mm-hmm.
And then also a sense of pride. You know, when you don't have, you can have a sense of pride, but when you go to school and there's not your peer group there to kind of, you know, help you out with that or to kind of, you know, be a support. And that's why, you know, our group is so important, you know, to our children, because even if you're not getting it in school, like, you know, that when you see us or one of the mothers, you know, we're going to say, oh my God, you know, some teachers aren't saying your hair looks great, you know, you look beautiful, or I love that shirt, or, and can mean it and understand it, you know, not like just looking at it like, oh, you know, what is this? Like, what, you know, somebody that understands, like, oh, who did your locks? Who did, you know, and can even talk back to you in that way. So it's very important. And then, of course, just the activities and getting with children that you know are your people. You know, it's a different sense of pride for them. So I agree. Definitely still difficult.
So I'm going to piggyback on what our president said. It's so important with the socialization piece of it because, and just the work that I do, right? So I see what it does to the self-confidence of African American children growing up in this area. They're disproportionately punished at school. Their, you know, level of activity, their the way they communicate or express themselves is judged. And so when you have a community of people who understand the culture, who empower you, who make you feel confident, who look like you, because that representation is important as well. It gives our children a confidence. Their spine kind of straightens up when they're walking in, and you know, our mother groups and things like that, or we'll say, hey, I like your hair, I like your outfit, or I saw, you know, that video you posted, and it means the world to them. So.
And you have 2 children. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with everything that was already said. It absolutely is a challenge for identity development, and we know that's continuous, but so important during those middle school years, because I have a middle schooler / teen, and from very early on, just I've had conversations with her, and they're so aware, right? She's asked me questions. You're lighter than me. Daddy's darker. What does that mean? Right? Or when she's questioning, like CP mentioned, their hair texture and why people like this or that. And we want to feel equipped as parents to provide them with as much love and guidance as we can, but we know that there's only so much we can do in the home, and then they go out into the world, and we want to ensure that they feel strong enough, they feel powerful enough, they feel confident enough. So stressing that you are excellent regardless of what anybody else tells you, that you are beautiful regardless of what anybody else tells you, is so important. Why this group is important, because it's important that she hears it from other people besides me, and also that looks like her too, right? So bringing our teens to the radio station to say, hey, this Black man is doing something great, and you can too, matters. We know that it's important to have Black educators in the classroom, so that maybe you want to be a Black educator, right? When I was the first dean of color at East Stroudsburg University, that was huge for our campus, and my students still remember what that meant. And it was like, this is great for me, but I understood the impact, right? I understand the impact that I make every time I walk into a room when I hold a certain position or title, because people are watching, even if they're not saying that it is. And our students go, or our children say, I can do that too, you know, and I hear that as my daughter reflects things back to me, right? That I'm a role model for her. You did so great, Mommy. You spoke well today. Like, I really like what you had to say.
You just have the one?
Yes, just one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So those things matter. And
I think I know your daughter.
You might.
Well, Kevin's your husband.
Yes.
So I've known you for years.
Oh. Oh.
I followed Kevin around from one shop to the other. I remember when you were pregnant.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
So act right.
I know. Right.
But you know something, Ron?
Yeah.
Everything that they said is so real. Because that's exactly what I went through. That's why I begged my dad to take me out of Woodmere Academy
Mhm.
so I could go to public school for my 12th grade year of high school, so I could see what it was like to be in the hood, to take public transportation.
Mhm.
But I forgot that I still had a pocket protector when I went to high school in
Mhm.
the 12th grade. So you know what that was like,
Mhm.
right?
Well, you know, I mentioned the socialization because I'm without doubt the oldest person in the room. And I was, you know, Terry and I are just a few months apart, but I was bused. I was part of the busing program in New York City. I was one of the first group of students that were taken out of Bedford-Stuyvesant, where I grew up, and sent to the other side of Brooklyn. And you kind of stick out like a sore thumb when you're the only black face in the class. And what does it do to you psychologically when you get these silly questions like, does that come off?
Yeah.
You know, things like that. And you're in an area surrounded by a sea of people that don't look like you and don't like the fact that you're there. You know, a lot of people think that segregation was in the South. Well, I can tell you from personal experience, in New York City, I've been chased out of neighborhoods, and not by kids, but by their parents. I have been called the N-word by people old enough to be my parents and grandparents and told, you do not belong here. And that was in Brooklyn, New York. So, you know, for people that are not aware of, I guess, the racial politics of the 1970s, it was rough. And it was right in New York City. So I'm just wondering, you know, what you ladies thought about your children interacting with people of, I don't want to say different races, just the human race, but people who have a different perspective. Because I believe that the only difference between black people and white people or Caucasians is how we think and how we see the world. So when you're surrounded by people who have a different perspective on the world, you know, how does it affect you? Yeah. So we're getting
Katrina
close
over here.
to the hour.
Katrina's over here.
Yeah, I know, but it's almost 7.
Okay.
Are we ending at 7?
Hey, if you feel the flow, man.
Okay, so we still have a few more
Yeah.
minutes, right?
I'm not gonna holler.
Okay, so we still have a few more minutes.
And I like the idea about bringing kids in. We used to have a kids show here years
Yeah.
ago, you know, and taught them radio, you know.
That'd be nice.
They
Yeah.
enjoy that.
And we got the recording studio upstairs too, so we teach them
Yeah.
all that. We got a lot going on over here,
Mhm.
you know. But we lend our services.
Yeah.
You know, we better together.
And you know, there's some people that have passed through here, a number of people who have organizations and have started organizations. I can't think of the brother's name, but he also, you talked about literacy, financial literacy. He does that. He also teaches health as it relates to the Black community, awareness, things that we as Black people should avoid, you know, because our diet primarily consists of what the slave master didn't want, we ate. And so now here we are, you know, over 140 years later, still eating chitlins and hog maws and wondering why my blood pressure can't go down, right? And going to church, Lord, just take this pressure from me, and then you go home and eat another chitlin, you know? But yeah, it would be a good idea because I grew up in a time in the 70s when there was not the mass exodus of Black men from the community. And I can always remember, you know, men older, my father's age, who would reach back and would say things to me that would empower me and, you know, make me feel good about who I am, you know, as a young man, Black man, growing up in the inner city. So I'm always very pro working with children, right? I think, and I agree with you, I think my forte is with young Black men. I do know about counseling for women, but I realized that from a man's perspective, there is so much that women go through that we just don't contemplate or even understand, right? I went through a period where my wife was diagnosed with cancer, and my daughter was just born. I'm like, whoa, if she's not here, I was a paramedic at one time. I understand physiologically what to do, but psychologically I don't. I would need some help. So I get what you're saying. I'm messing with you a little bit.
Are we making up now? We gonna make up now?
No,
At the end of the show, we gonna make up.
No, I didn't say I
We
totally
not
agree.
making up. We breaking up.
I didn't say I totally agree. I said I understood to some degree. But you still on the hook.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Maybe next episode.
Perhaps the next episode.
Work in this relationship.
Yeah, we'll have to. And I gave you that, right?
I'm coming.
You'll be there.
I'm gonna break some of them.
You know
A
what?
lot of them.
That's good. Matter of fact, let's pass some of these out.
Thank you.
Yes, and you can hold on to those. So, just as a reminder, on May 18th, there's going to be a Haitian Flag Day celebration in Mountain View Park, and that's going to start about 12 o'clock. But it'll be the first of its kind celebration in this area. We have a growing Haitian community here in the Poconos, and they want to let the world know that Haiti is more than just the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, that there's so much there culturally. So come on and support them. And I hope to see you ladies there. And then let's hear more about what you're going to do on the 10th.
May 10th, we are unifying the community. We have an event. We are selling wristbands, $25 per person. It's all inclusive. It comes with a meal. So think cookout food, so a hamburger, hot dog, chicken tenders, all comes with fries and a drink. We're gonna have line dancing, we're gonna have music, a DJ, petting zoo.
Petting zoo.
Petting zoo.
Okay.
We got goats.
Okay. All right.
Goats.
After you eat them after you. No. Okay. Just curious.
Just checking, right?
Just curious. I could get with curry goat every now and then. Yeah. You never had curry goat?
It's diabolical.
You
Have
have
you
this
had
kind
curry
of
goat?
but Jamaican, but so I've seen
Right.
them kill
Okay,
them made right there
Unify,
and have a
please
meal.
don't come trying to eat the goats.
Okay, we didn't eat the goats.
Don't eat the goats. This
No,
is
it's
not that
not
event.
too.
It's she supporting it.
I'm not.
I'm
I'm
sure
not
it-
in support of
Okay,
it.
let's not think of the harming the animal.
No, we're gonna love the animal.
Yes, love and pet the animal.
Okay.
Okay, we're not eating them. After
In African culture, we didn't play with our food. We didn't go pet the chickens and stuff like that. They understood their role. Okay, but all right. Okay, no problem. No problem. But yeah, ladies, it was an honor to have you come and join me today. This is something that, you're always welcome to come back at any time. Just tell me when, and we'll set up again. Maybe not bring, but but it was a pleasure. Anything else you'll have coming up you'll want to share with the community?
I think we have anything else.
I can think of one thing. When do you meet? How would somebody join your organization?
Yes, I thought we forget that.
Yeah.
So we do. We actually have an informational session for mothers who are interested in learning more about our organization.
Okay, what about fathers who are interested?
Fathers, mother.
Don't get in her category.
So it's a mother member.
Mm-hmm.
So if fathers are interested, they could share with the mom, and then she could.
I see where this is going, but okay.
you outnumbered.
Let me get the exact date for you guys. It's
Mhm.
going to be. Our informational session is Sunday, April the 27th. It starts at 2 p.m. It's going to be about an hour and a half, and it's going to be at Dot and Joe Boutique, 45 Crystal Street in Brownsville.
Okay. Crystal Street.
For mothers who just want to come, we'll have refreshments just to learn more about the organization, our chapter, what it looks like, what it will entail, and hopefully, get a sponsor to join. So, anyone
So you said a sponsor to join?
right. So what happens is when you come in and after you learn, every mother is sponsored by another mother. So it's almost like a mentor, for lack of better words, that you get into the chapter, you come into the chapter with.
So this is basically just an informational
Yep. Just to
session.
get the information, learn more
Okay.
about it, what the membership entails.
So with these mothers wondering, do you know like somewhat of a background investigation on them?
We can do background checks, but we want to know who you are. I mean, because again, we're around children, right?
A little bit about their character.
Right. Family dynamics.
About their character, huh?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So yes, please, anyone who's interested, it'll come out April 27th at Dot and Joe Boutique here in East Stroudsburg.
And you meet monthly?
We do. We meet monthly up until May. So from September to May, and then June, July, and August we're on summer break.
So when you have your meetings, do you have a central location where you meet, or do you just meet different locations?
With different locations, we typically meet at the library. We're using Hughes Library.
Okay.
So not sure if that's what will be next year, but again, it's always either somewhere in this area, East Stroudsburg, between Lehigh Valley area and East Stroudsburg.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good. You have anything else, Sonia?
Nothing else to add except just inviting everyone to come out and celebrate with us at our event on May 10th.
Okay, Karina, you have anything else you'd like to share?
No, I just hope people come and come celebrate with us the event and have a good time, and we get to help the community. The more people that come, the more we give back.
Okay.
I think everybody summed this up really well. Come out, celebrate, have fun, hoping for wonderful weather, and hopefully get to know more about our organization.
Sounds good. And last but not least,
I want to thank you for the opportunity to come to share our organization and our event. So that means a lot. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
And, this is a fundraiser for 3 organizations. We are giving to PATH, which is a transitional housing program for the homeless families of our community. We're also giving to 7th Street Alliance, which is another homeless shelter. And we are donating band equipment to Pocono Mountain School District's music program.
Oh, very good.
So that's what the proceeds, the wristbands, everything to support this event is going for.
Okay. So it's $25 for the wristband.
Yes.
Is that the same for men, or are charging? Is there a surcharge?
Gender, everybody gets
Right.
the
The
same.
same
Kids,
price.
children, men, women. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And you
Just
could also
checking.
donate too. So if you're unable to attend and you just want to donate, make a donation, you're able to find us on Facebook, and there's a link there for you to click our PayPal link to be able to donate. We do have opportunities also to sponsor some children from the community who are not able to attend or maybe not have the $25. So we do have some of those tickets reserved. I don't know how many, Chair Pernella, but we do have some opportunity for children that want to attend but that can't afford it.
So you're on Facebook.
We are on Facebook.
Is it just Jack and Jill at Facebook? Or is it Greater Pocono?
Greater Pocono, Jack and Jill of America.
Okay. And you have a website as well?
We have a website made into an interface. I believe you have to go to our national page to locate us. So it's jackandjillofamerica.org. And then you will find Greater Pocono there.
So are you the only Jack and Jill, chapter in this area?
Yes.
The only one?
There's the next one is Bucks County, and then there's Philadelphia. We have one in Chester County, but for Northampton, Lehigh, this whole Pocono Valley area is just us.
So just a question about Jack and Jill itself. Would you say this is a primarily minority? I don't hate to use the term minority organization, or is it primarily comprised of Caucasian people?
Oh no, it's primarily African American. We are the premier African American organization, national organization.
Okay, very good.
We do have some Caucasian mothers because they have African American children, so we don't, It's a it's a mother member organization. So we do have Caucasian women, some Caucasian women in our chapter,
Okay.
but predominantly Black.
So Terry, they made it clear we can't come to the meeting.
Mm-mm.
Hey man,
We have a father's
we
auxiliary,
can't
though.
join. We can't come to the meeting.
I'm not gonna holler, man.
We can sit outside, but we can't come in. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, you know how it is, man.
We can't do what we do without the support of our fathers.
That's right.
It's really important.
Well, I'm glad you said that.
That's right.
I'm glad you said
you know,
that.
you know, you know who you
Maybe you should say that again. Yeah. So
We have an appreciation for them coming
Yeah,
up
we
next
do.
month. They're going to the shooting range, and we're gonna,
oh, the fathers.
yeah,
they
the
get to
father's
go,
auxiliary. They go
going
to
to the shooting
yes,
range.
they are.
So who's
Okay.
taking them to the shooting range?
They're gonna drive themselves.
Are y'all providing the bullets at least?
We can do
We're
that.
providing. We're paying for the whole event.
Oh, you are.
We
Yes.
are.
Okay.
Okay. But y'all not going.
Mm-mm.
That's for
Okay.
them,
That's
so they
for
can
them.
spend time together as a
Mhm.
group.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And where they go? Where they going to shoot?
They're going
Some of them might be members of
Blackfoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are going to Limestone. No, Lehigh Valley Sporting Place.
Never heard of it.
Me either. 2750 Limestone. It's in Copley, PA.
It's in where?
Copley?
Okay. I'm not sure where that is.
Yeah. they're going
I
to-
hope it's not right in the middle of Klan territory.
But we
Because there might be quite a bit of shooting.
Hey, listen. What being say? Stay low and keep firing.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
we gotta
yeah.
do. Stay low, keep firing.
Okay. So, are you married?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You too?
I am.
Okay.
What you trying to get a date?
I know you're married.
Single, are you?
Tell Kevin I said hello.
I will.
Yeah. Your daughter must be a preteen now.
Yeah,
I
she's
ain't never
14.
coming back.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You ain't gonna invite me back.
I'm single.
We're going to do a pop the balloon for her.
Yeah.
Did you see that Charles Barkley one?
Mm-mm.
Now that
Pop
would be
Wow.
great.
At least the men are getting some appreciation. They get to go shoot
Yes, absolutely.
out in the middle of nowhere, but they get to go
Mhm,
shoot.
mhm.
Is there any
So
food
they
involved in
wanted to
this?
go
They are going to go get something to eat after. Because I don't think they have food at that venue. We learned that they didn't have food, but after they can go get food and drinks.
Y'all paying for that too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
really?
yeah.
The
That's
food,
all
the
right.
drink,
Wow.
and the bullets.
That's all right.
Wow. Yes.
That's all right.
Okay.
We like our
Okay.
fathers. Yes.
Do you now?
Yeah. What? It just
Well, that
I
is
got a
so
bad
good.
reputation.
Karina, is your husband attending as well?
Yes, he's attending.
He's going to shoot in the middle of nowhere too.
Yes.
Okay, see there?
All right.
Not in the middle of nowhere.
Well, you said it's Coldplay. You don't know where that is, right?
I've heard of it before.
I've seen it on like on the when they do the weather in the morning, they pointed it out, but it's nowhere around here.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
It's not.
it's probably like maybe more than an hour's drive.
No.
You
I
don't think so?
No, because if I'm not mistaken, I think it's in between like Easton, Bethlehem, Allentown. Like it's somewhere in there.
Okay,
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah, like to the left, to the right, in the
I
back.
think it's near Pottstown.
Pottstown? Okay.
Pottstown?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pottstown is over an hour.
That's
Yeah.
far.
Yeah,
I don't think it's-
That's far.
yeah. But y'all staying at home while they go.
Yeah.
I think I saw it on a sign
Uh-huh.
in my travels.
Coldplay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an hour away.
It's an hour, right?
From here?
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And what is it near?
We gotta find them now.
Right, see? It's in the middle of nowhere. It's in the boonies.
Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, it's just on the other side of Allentown.
Yeah,
Other side, yeah.
Allentown.
Yeah, but it's an hour away on the other side of Allentown.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. A lot goes on the other side of Allentown.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like they say on the other side of town, right?
Exactly.
The other side of the tracks.
Exactly.
You know what it is.
So I just hope that everything goes well that day.
Mhm.
They gonna have guns. They gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, yeah, they'll have guns. Are they experienced with firearms?
No, I
Mhm.
hope so.
You hope so.
Okay. Is your husband experienced with firearms?
My husband is, yes.
Okay. Okay. Kev, I know, does some shooting. Yeah.
Well, you know, we say have guns will travel.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, are any of your members of Blackfoot Gun Club?
I was on a meeting like a few years ago,
Mhm.
and I didn't join, but I just kind of got on to here. We had like an attorney, not an attorney, but different rules and processes. Like when you carry a gun, or you have one in your home, and somebody comes in. I think it was like an insurance or something that was on that call.
Mhm.
They were talking about how you kind of buy into this insurance. So like if you were to ever need to use it, or
If you
something like
carry a gun, there's certain insurance companies that will indemnify you.
that. Okay.
So if you should, get into a situation where you have to shoot somebody, they'll provide you with an attorney, and if
Yep.
they decide to sue you, I think they have like $2 million in liability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's always good to have.
Yeah, I was
But-
on a call for that. It was like a Zoom call
Mhm.
some years ago. Tamika Patterson, she had invited us to join or come on the call, but that's my knowledge of Blackfoot. But I have heard about it before.
So would you be interested in being a member?
I would.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would
I
you?
just got my license last fall.
Mhm.
Well, I'm not really experienced with
Most people that join the gun club aren't. That's why they join, just so they can become familiar with guns and the law related to carrying a gun, firearm safety, all that stuff.
Okay.
Because Trump is in office,
That's true.
and it seems that when Trump is in office, certain people become a little more aggressive. You know what I mean? Like if you're in a park bird watching, people call the cops on you. If you're in a common area of your college and you're asleep, people call the cops on you. If you're barbecuing, people call the cops on you. So it might be good to learn how to defend yourself legally, to do so legally. Karina, Blackfoot, any interest?
I mean, I never shot a gun. Honestly, I'm from Patterson, so that's not like a thing. PA is more.
Born in Patterson?
New Jersey.
Yes, born and raised in Patterson.
You shot a gun. Come on now. I've been through Patterson. I've been through Patterson. I have some family in Patterson. I don't go visit them. But I know they're there.
I love Patterson.
Yeah, they have some areas in Patterson where the gunshots are regular.
Yes, they are regular, but I've never shot a gun, so I don't have that much experience yet. But
Well, you should come out and learn.
okay, I'll definitely do it.
You said South 18? Oh, you shot some guns.
I do. I do, and I carry. I have a license to carry, so I'm a pretty good shot. That's when I'm using my masculine energy,
Uh-huh.
But
See that?
I definitely am interested.
So you would join.
Mhm.
It's it's a lot of men that come out to shoot.
I like men. I go to a single too, right? So hey, listen.
Yeah,
That
but
makes
they
for a
just
good
couldn't go to
date.
you for counseling.
Right.
Definitely not if I'm trying to date them. Like, no, I don't. We need boundaries.
But see, something? A lot of women, not all, but they want men who are going to be expressive, who's going to talk to them and tell them what they think and what they feel. They just can't tell you.
No,
Exactly.
not at all.
Exactly.
Not unless they have a co-payment.
Mm.
Just joking.
No, you
She's standing on business, as they say, right?
She's standing on business.
I'm joking. I do. I do.
Mhm.
I do not have anything against men. Why do you think I have problems with men? Because I don't. My target audience is women.
I didn't say you had a problem, man. You brought that up. That's going to be in our next show.
Right.
Why you have a problem with men? That's going to be in our next show.
All
Oh
right.
boy.
Mhm. So, do you shoot?
I have shot, but I need more experience, so I would be interested.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, I'm a member of the club, right? So, we want to support each other's organizations, right? So, there's a possibility of networking there, right? Because a lot of people might be interested in being part of Jack and Jill as well, Some people might have young children who might need daycare services. Some people might need, accounting. Some people want to go to college. Some people want to go to college, right?
I need
At
counseling.
ESU. you know, so there is the, possibility of, some networking, and, that makes our community stronger. Would you ladies agree?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's true.
Well, we're going to have to wrap it up. This was a really great hour and a half, or hour and 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And, I learned a lot about Jack and Jill. I grew up not knowing much about Jack and Jill. I think I heard about it when I moved here, because Ginger, Farrell, is kind of connected my daughter and her daughter friends.
Okay.
So that's how I sort of learned a little bit about it from her, and speaking to some people, trying to get them to join. But, I learned quite a bit today, right, from you all, and I really appreciate you coming on. And I hope that you will come back sometime, at least maybe 3 of you, come back and join us again, and we can talk about some other topic, because there's so much happening, in terms of the changes in this country. It's like every day you wake up and there's something new, right? So, we need to talk about some other things.
Absolutely.
But again, ladies, thank you all for coming. Karina, thank you for taking time out of your day to join us.
Thank you for
See
having
you
me.
again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
So-
you for having us.
Oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you very
Anytime.
much. Yes.
Anytime.
Yep. All right, y'all. What's good? Enjoyed y'all. And we're going to sign off now and jump back into our regular scheduled program.